threshold of becoming the third largest economy of the world. The telecom sector has been contributing in the most potent manner, giving almost 7% to the GDP, and like what Seth brought out, the broadband users, which were nearly 480 million in 2018 and now become almost 940. Thank you very much, sir.
लेकिन सबसे खूबसूरत बात यह है कि जो 30 साल पहले सर जिस कॉल पे 30 रुपए लगते थे या 25 रुपए आज उस पे सिर्फ 1 रुपया लगता है. That's the magic of telecom sector. So ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to the third session, which we are having the theme empowering the digital economy, investment and challenges in further enhancing the national digital infrastructure. The moderator, we have Mr. Amitoj, Arya. Amitoj ji has got 20 years of global consulting experience advising across the telecom value chain, regulatory bodies and private equity firms. Can I request you, sir, to please come onto the dais?
Thank you. Thanks very much. And I think before I start, I would just like to say that Manish has set the context quite appropriately, right, in terms of how the industry has progressed. I now look forward to a great panel discussion through the esteemed panelists. May I request on stage Shri Manoj, Principal Advisor, TRAI. Shri Anil Bhardwaj, DDG SE at DOT. Please, sir. Mr. Rahul Vatts, Chief Regulatory Officer, Bharti. And Mr. Srivastava, President, Reliance. Before we start with our discussion, maybe I just wanted to sort of highlight a few data points, a couple of slides. I think we've had a great day sort of discussing Digital Bharat and what it means for our sector to contribute towards. If we look at, obviously there are the broad Digital Bharat goals in terms of national security, global partnerships, etc., etc. But if we are looking at becoming a $30 trillion economy by 2047, we're expecting a sustained GDP growth rate of more than 9% from here on, right? And what it means is that in order to achieve that, the digital economy will play a key part in the GDP of the country moving forward. And what the digital economy needs is digital infrastructure. Right? So if we're expecting the digital economy itself to become 41 lakh crores or more than 20% or about 20% of the national income from the current 28 lakh crores, then a sustained digital infrastructure investments would have to be made over the next few years. And 5G has sort of picked up in a tremendous way. We're looking at a lot of SaaS platforms which ride on data centers. So a lot of investments have been made in the data centers as well. And if we look at, in the last few years, from telcos, ISPs, there's been a lot of investments in network modernizations, in rolling out networks, towers, fibers, etc. But significant amount of investments going into data centers and the cloud platforms as well. Obviously, where will all this money come from? Right? It's a combination of private investments, as over the next few years, a lot of money coming from there. But equally important are some of the government programs and schemes. And Manish ji referred to that as well. The DBN, Digital Bharat Nidhi, phenomenal scheme, and we're expecting to sort of have a lot of investments coming through from here. And obviously, the PLI schemes that have been sort of instituted a couple of years ago, they have started to sort of see some traction as well. Right? So this is just a slide on the drivers. We'll obviously delve into all of this discussion through the course of the panel. But perhaps if I could open up with the first question to all the panelists. Obviously we have established that, the investments in digital infrastructure are going to be critical for the Viksit Bharat goals to be accomplished at the end of the day. So, Ms. Manoj, if I can perhaps start with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I just wanted to make sure that the audience doesn't go to sleep. So I'm going to make some provocative statements to make you think, and my co-panelists also think. So, most of us talk about regulatory constraints. So I just wanted to, before I go into the regulatory constraints, I just want to tell you that right now, most of our regulators, including TRAI, has moved from distrust and crucify mode to trust but verify. I am also reminded of the comments of Honorable Finance Minister Srivastava. She said all the regulators must do the minimum necessary and the maximum feasible. Having said that, there are a lot of constraints and challenges which my moderator has said. I don't want to talk about 5G monetization, which I'm sure my co-panelists will talk about, returns on investments on the cellular sector, or the great rural-urban divide. But I just want to touch upon a couple of significant issues where, as a regulator, we are involved. Rahul Vatts also spoke about fiberization and backhaul prices a couple of days ago, as well as this morning. So, backhaul prices is something which we are working on as a regulator. They are high. We admit that they are high because 75% of the SUC charges being paid by the operator, all the operators, are being paid for backhaul. We agree to that. It should be reduced. We agree. But again, the point is, as I said, we ask for data. Any data that we ask for, to reduce the price of incidentally, the stakeholders do not give. I don't know the reason why they do not give, but somehow or the other they do not give. So without the data, we are fumbling in the dark, rather groping in the dark. So which is not the point. So I would say all the stakeholders must cooperate with the authority, to regulatory authority, to bring down the prices. The purpose of asking the data is to bring down the prices. Now, this is the most controversial topic as a challenge for a regulator. Low ARPU. This has been the refrain that I have been hearing ever since I joined TRAI 1 year ago. Low ARPU. What is this low ARPU? Member Finance also pointed this out. It has gone up significantly during the last 10 years. That again is not the point. I read Digital Bharat Nidhi's comment about some 5-6 years ago, when the ARPU of Airtel was 140 rupees. He said at that time, and I always read him very carefully because he means his business. So it was 140 rupees. Mittalji said it should be minimum 200 rupees, without which we cannot survive. Today, Airtel's ARPU is 250 rupees. He went to Davos, Mittalji went to Davos, on the sidelines of the conference, he said minimum 300 rupees, without which we cannot survive. The way operators are going, it will cross 300 rupees within no time. Then what will you say? 400 rupees? It is forbearance. We agree. Charge at will. Again, no issues. But look at what we are facing as a regulator. I'll tell you. Sitting in my office, I get a letter from the minister's office saying that a member of parliament from Karnataka, a prince no less, prince of the royal family, currently a member of parliament, has written to the minister saying that the monthly recharge in the country cannot be afforded by many of my constituents. And we again checked, my division went after, because we have to give a reply to the minister. We went after it and found that the lowest monthly recharge is 218 rupees. Just 218 rupees. I am sure nobody in this audience, it's a very elite audience, so we are all sitting in a 5-star hotel. Nobody in this audience will bat an eyelid about spending 218 rupees, isn't it? But the honorable member of parliament has written that many people in his constituency cannot afford this monthly recharge. That is not the end of it. We again, there is something called PM money, all of you are aware of. There is an operator, there is a company which does it in Delhi. 250,000 people are buying sachet of 5 rupees. 5 rupees data, 5 rupees voice, just 5 rupees data. is being bought by 2,50,000 rupees, 250,000 people from some areas in Delhi. And he says, the company man says, there is a lot of potential that I will have. This is the problem. This is the problem. So we are in a different world altogether. Couple of days ago, my panelists will agree with me. Two of them increased the prices. They took away 1 GB data plans. Again, no issues for parents. Minister again asked for explanation. We asked for a reply. They are writing beautiful English. They are writing. We have taken away that plan to enhance customer advantage. By taking away a plan, increasing the prices, you are enhancing customer advantage. How? I don't know. Beautiful English, I agree. They are right as my says, Amitoj.
Definitely a good start. Challenges that you foresee, which are still preventing or inhibiting large-scale investments to be made in digital infrastructure.
So, if we look at the investment in a constructed manner only to telecom sector, then the answer is different. But if we look at the whole digital space and digital infrastructure, the investments are happening in a large way. And when it comes to telecom side, while 5G rollout happens, and the large part of 5G rollout has happened much before today, even currently, Vodafone has just finished deployment of almost 25,000 sites plus the core plus the cloud. BSNL is in process of completing almost 100,000 towers and have plans to invest another anywhere between 30 to 40,000 crore in next 2 fiscal. Airtel and Jio, as we speak, are strengthening core and have plans to invest another 30 to 40,000 crores in basically strengthening the network. So if we look at telecom, I would say, and I am saying these numbers with full conviction, what is happening in the market. In addition to that, as our member just spoke, through Digital Bharat Nidhi, we have committed expenditure of 140,000 crore in next 2.5 years, which is 150 billion US dollar. So even with that, all that is going into infrastructure, all that will make the underlying network on which everything, all digital services will travel. So to say that investment is not happening and what do we need to enhance investment, I mean, I do not agree with that premise, and that is what my take is over it. And I leave it to Rahul to substantiate or cross me on what I have said.
Over to you, Rahul. I think just substantiate that. And also, I think while ROI, return on capital employed, I think those are critical matrices. But any other thing from your perspective that is inhibiting large investments?
Thank you, Amitoj. First of all, I'm always in for a good tennis match. So I would not leave the opportunity for the match started by Mr. Manoj to make this more interesting. Yes, we do require ARPU. Why do we require ARPU? It's because I require sustained growth of my digital infrastructure. An infrastructure which today is riding your entire UPI, your entire jam a lot of other things which this country needs to become decent in the next 25 years. We asked for 200 rupees, yes. That was a time before COVID. Every operator was bleeding. After COVID, we were the only sector which was still working 24/7, delivering at houses, at hospitals, and ask wherever you wanted us to. We were then thrust into a 5G auction. We participated. We have also rolled out the world's fastest ever 5G rollout anywhere in the world. So yes, sir, I do require ARPU, I do require money, I do require investments to be able to sustain myself. Now let me try and answer some other questions which you raised regarding the sustainability of tariffs, having smaller sachets of tariff, and I completely agree. This is a market which is very segmented. There is a different need of every customer, and it is the endeavor, I think, of at least these two operators, and I can see Africa there also, that we really want to serve each segment of this customer who is varying needs. Some people have need of data on move, data in motion, some want data at home, some want in enterprises, and so you have to really give a very tariff offering. And we are happy that if somebody is able to serve as sachet and be sustainable at 5 rupees, 10 rupees, and work this business grow at this scale, it's very encouraging. And I think we should really create policies we are able to do so effectively. So that's where that is. Let me come back to where Mr. Bhardwaj was referring to. I completely agree from the perspective from which he was coming at. I just want to pause here 1 minute and look at the scale at which we are. Right? That's very important because we always somehow lose focus. And let me just turn back to my own Airtel numbers for a minute. So in 2021, I was at around 6.6 lakh BTSs. Right? Today is 25. I am at 1 million. Right? I had around 2,80,000 towers 4 years back. I have around 3,38,000 towers. I was generating around 25,000 billion MBs of data. I am today generating 81,000 billion MBs of data. Right? I was at around 3.6 billion minutes of usage. I am today sitting at 4.6 billion minutes of usage. As a result of which, this country has got the highest data consumption anywhere in the world, which is around 25 to 27 GB per customer. So this is the scale of the infrastructure which we are talking about. We talked about 5G. My friend here has rolled out more 5G for double bands. We have also rolled out 5G, and now Vodafone is also furiously, rolling out 5G across. What we also need to understand in terms of sustainability, the new set of equipment is at least 30% more energy efficient than what it used to be a few years back. Right? So this is the scale. And on top of that, with growing demands of AI, data centers, there's a humongous amount of investment that is being done on edge data centers, really scaling up the capacities to a very big large level. Every time you open up complexity, please understand there is a data center somewhere which is processing the data, and it is an edge location very near you. Right? So it requires you to set up that infrastructure to be able to do that. Now let me come to some of the challenges and some of the things which we feel are very important, and some of this actually Manoj also referred to. Back on today, he mentioned it himself. So nearly 3/4 of the entire spectrum fees we have today is all on account of backhaul. It's around 5,500 crore cost for the industry. But it's a large number. If I look at the overall spectrum portfolio, and we are still very hungry because the privatization is still very poor. So we do require rationalization to happen out there. Another area I think which is of concern is the abysmally low termination rates when you are calling into it. So if you are calling from here to Saudi Arabia or to let's say UAE, we end up paying 30 rupees. If a Dubai customer calls up India, he pays just 65%. If I call up Nepal, I pay 13 rupees. If Nepal calls India, I pay 65%. This disparity is actually leading to also emergence of spam. And I'm sure TRAI, they are looking at, Mr. Mitra mentioned today in the morning about a new interconnection paper. So I'm sure this is some of the issues which they are also going to address. Third large area of concern, which should enable more investments as we go ahead, and there is a lot of investment lined up. Member F is there, we had also mentioned. I think if I add up both of the operators sitting out here, we have been putting up at least around $10 billion every year. For last 5 years, continuous, right? There has been not a respite of a single year where the investment is not happened. The rising cost of security infrastructure is something I think we need a fresh look on. If you go to any jurisdiction in the world today, whether US, whether France, whether Europe, whether Australia, there is an increasing debate on how do we really set up this next layer of security infrastructure. Because you are now dealing with humongous amount of data. And governments out there are putting up a very collaborative framework on how the security infrastructure can be shared in the future. I think that is one area of concern, which Mr. Bhardwaj will, I'm sure, part of the stakeholder committee is also seized off, as we go ahead. So I think this is really, so we have done a lot of progress, as I said, in terms of infrastructure scaling up. And we just need more enablers now that we are able to go to the next level. We have to be ready for the next generation of technology upgrades. It's not now, but it's likely to happen in the next few years. But you have to start building up yourself for that sort of growth.
what is preventing large investments? What are the challenges in making large investments, Shri?
Good afternoon, everyone. See, any business entity will require return on investment. So, if you want a 5G phone and 5G services, if you wish to say that you have got largest coverage and fastest rollout of 5G in the country, you have to shell out money. So it's for the government to ensure that there is affordability. This affordability is an aspect to be addressed, but it's for the government, not the business entities. I'm going to highlight the pain points of the service providers. Investment is coming, investment has been happening. A lot of this investment is going towards the modernization of the network and also security of the network. The important point is, Mr. Manoj did refer to backhaul spectrum. The overall spectrum cost is high. It has to be brought down. The TRAI has been following the method of having calculation and bringing out the base price using various methods. And then 70% of that is taken as the base price and used. So it's on the higher side. We have been requesting that please make it 50%. And then there will be competition. The competition to certainly make the price discovery. So this is our recommendation. Our recommendation is also that when you look into the cost of backhaul, you have to do away with this, percentage of area business or bring it down substantially because the cost of backhaul is very high. And the service providers will need, even today, the fiberization, whatever you do, the fiberization will always lag. The radio will go ahead of fibers. So you will require backhaul and therefore the cost of backhaul has to be brought down. Now, the taxes and levies are extremely high. Everyone is aware, we have been talking about the taxes and various, regulatory compliances, etc., costing about 50%. So, there has been a case to bring it down. There is also a case, we have been saying that we are the largest user of data. Sometimes we are forced to use data even if we are at home. The Europeans and the people in the developed economies, they go back home and they use the fiber data at home. They don't use the data that is flowing through the mobile. So, if you want to increase that, you have to work out methods. The regulator has recommended that the fixed line license fee should be done away for a few years. In fact, it was 5 years it was recommended. And it has become 15 years since it was recommended. So, this is something which should have been implemented. And these are the things which will improve the drawing back of capital into the network, apart from other investors getting attracted towards the sector. Take the, some sentence of regulation of the OTT. The service providers have to demand that there should be the same rule. It does not happen. So, actually, when you do it, it will bring in certain, stability and certain predictability in the sector. So we know how to and where to invest as far as sector is concerned. There are some leftover issues after Dinasar has mentioned about ATR. There are some issues which are still pending to be settled as far as the ATR definition etc. is concerned. So all put together, I would say that there is very good atmosphere as far as the investment is concerned. Coming, but it can be further improved. Take the case of Digital Bharat Nidhi. Now, when it was introduced, the USO funds which was originally introduced, it was meant to address to serve the unserved areas. Now, there are a lot of areas which are already served. So, if the unserved area is coming down like this, the DNP contribution should also come down like this, isn't it? So these are few suggestions which I had to make, and that's it. Thank you very much.
I think you brought up a good point, which maybe we can start Anil with you. Digital Bharat Nidhi. Obviously, there is a segment of customers who can afford the kind of ARPUs There is a business case for the telecom operators to deploy services in some areas. But what happens to the underserved, the remote areas? How can Digital Bharat Nidhi help investments in those areas, sir?
So, Amitoj, thank you. You know, I kept my opening remarks limited because I knew two of my friends on the right side, on the left side, and regulator on the right side will pounce on the government, and that's what we do the best. But let me defend my department. See, to say that X is more or Y is more, two of the biggest thing and third, but two things. That spectrum cost is too high. Believe me, who decides the spectrum cost? And you all will be astonished. My friends on the left, they and their backrooms decide the spectrum option price. We have one of the lowest per head, per capita spectrum price across the world. And we can share the numbers, we can share the statistics. But nobody will say that, nobody will tell that in these rooms. Now, second comes, we talk of ARPU, which my friend talked that he is not getting the data, but who decides the ARPU? I mean, last year, just during the monsoon session, when the prices were increased by some 10, 12, 15, and I'm not going into numbers, I deliberately am reducing because I say 20, they will pounce on me. So I'm deliberately using the less number, 10%, very less. It was my minister defending that at various press conferences and in the parliament. But who increased that prices? My friends on the left. So let us understand this industry is self-reliant in two most important things. And third thing, I come to the AGR point. And that litigation everybody talks. See the rule of the game, and one of my friends talked about predictability. Predictability, okay, that's certainty, predictability, wonderful words. Who shifted from the license regime to the revenue share regime? Their request. Who decided the revenue share? My dear friends sitting across the table. The government and DoT has been such a wonderful policy making department and in taking the flag from the industry. You decide the agreements, you decide the terms of agreement, you sign an agreement, and then you go across the country fighting in the courts, saying, no, this is incorrect, and don't keep provision for that for 15 good years. And then say, court is bad, the government is bad. Sir, excuse me. It is your business case, it was your business. Government, what it is doing since that judgment is going out of the way, going beyond at the cost of taking flag from ordinary citizens that why are you helping these people? But we are saying no, we will make sure that industry is helped. And still, I am told that I am taking higher license fee. Sir, even today, 55 crore, count this number please. 55 crore Indians do not have meaningful digital connectivity, and we are talking of digital connectivity. Half of us are using the data right now, including me. I got an important message and responding right now. There are people who don't get connectivity. 55 crore is a big number, sir, and you are talking, and who is investing in those areas? Every single tower being put there, whether it is 40,000 towers being put in by BSNL, 10,000 towers being put in by Airtel, or 15,000 towers being put in by Reliance, are at the subsidized cost because DBN is paying that back. So, and then we still have a miles to go, and we are investing that money into the underlying network, which will be used as backhaul. By whom? By my dear friends. So we as government, and I assure you, not only today, tomorrow also we will continue to support the industry, the way this department has been doing, and the way this department has converted telecom into sunrise sector. And we all together have done it. 5G, my senior just before this panel talk, that we had the fastest 5G rollout, thanks to you guys. We are here to enable it. And we will continue to enable the industry the way we have, but not at the cost of people who still are yearning for that connectivity which we take as our right.
Okay, Manoj, would you want to add to that? Digital Bharat Nidhi and the underserved areas.
My colleague and my brother Anil got so passionate. So, so I just add to just one line to what he said. See, I don't want to repeat it, but the point is that any data, I am talking from the point of view of the data, any data that we ask is treated with mistrust, is treated with a lot of suspicion, and data is not being given. We have no problems with it. As a regulator, we have absolutely no problems with it. Because we are going to review for pay rise. My chairman has told me, let's review for pay rise. It is not a right. Number one. Number two, the same, who is, as my brother Anil said, who is their competitor? Not the government, not Mr. Manish. They themselves. One operator, in the midst of not giving this data to the regulator, one operator gave a 1 month offer at 1 rupee. Just 1 rupee. COA comes running in. There is a big letter written by COA. Please intervene. Please. All of the regulations are being violated. Intervene. So I took this letter to my chairman. He said, he just asked one question. Have they given any data? I said, no, sir. Forget it. So once one side they don't give the data, on the other side, intervention. Which intervention? Which regulator intervention? Nothing. Coming back to DBN, my dear Amitoj. So the Digital Bharat Nidhi has given, they have financed the top of the line infrastructure networks. I can name a few, and just due to paucity of time, I will limit it. One is, this KLI project. KLI means our Cochin Lakshadweep submarine cable project, where the government of India spent 1,200 crores for a ring network, ring topology. The network, around 10 islands. There are 10 islands in Lakshadweep which are populated. They have connected all of them with a high-speed optical fiber network, spending 1,200 crores. There's another network called CANI project, the Chennai Andaman Nicobar optical fiber submarine cable network. They spent about 1,000 crores for that. There is another major project. Member Finance Manish has also alluded to that. That is the 4G saturation project. 4G saturation project where we still had about 26,000 villages which were uncovered at the start of the project. So now I think we have very few thousands left. That is again a 30,000 crore project. Then of course, Member Sir and my brother Ravi has already spoken about Bharat and Phase 3. So Bharat and first and second phases, if you remember, if you recollect, it was not that much of a success. To put it in perspective. So the DOT learned the lesson and we introduced a scheme called Bharat and Udyami, where there is they will act, the Udyamis will act as a direct sending agent. They will also get revenue share and they will proliferate. They will help proliferate the network. So a lot of things which the government can do are being done. And to respond to my elder brother Srivastava, where he said that the license fee and the revenue share should come down. We still have a lot of unserved areas. Even United States, for that matter, I was looking at it. They have a $40 billion project for covering the underserved and unserved areas. So we are nowhere. We still have a look at it. There's so many underserved areas. So that is DBN from me.
No, thank you. Rahul, may I request from a telco's perspective? How do you see Digital Bharat Nidhi sort of integrating with your rollout plans, and how do you plan to leverage on that?
I think Digital Bharat Nidhi, you see the construct of it was meant to serve the underserved areas or uncovered areas. The very first of the schemes came out in 2006. Did not succeed. There was zero bidding. And the next of the schemes started around 2007. Even at that time, there was hardly a single operator willing to come and roll out that. Anyways, we participated in that scheme in 2018. We have rolled out more than 10,000 sites in the last 5 to 7 years. I just want to pick up this point about subsidy. For each site I have put in USO, I have had to put 2 repeater sites at my own cost. In Arunachal Pradesh, I have put 700 kilometers of fiber at my own cost. It is not a subsidy I get. I am putting the network on my own. So the subsidy element is one thing. Your social responsibility and your urge to serve the subscriber and the unconnected is another thing. right? So we work along with the government. We are equally conscious of what we have to achieve. So when I put up several kilometers of fiber at my own cost, it's not that I'm getting subsidy out of it, but it's my will to really go down to the village and to start providing service which really motivates me to be able to serve. So there is a large amount of project done, but there is a large amount of uncovered project. Now, what our basic submission has been on the USO is that today, over a period of 15 years, operators have put in money into this fund. More than 80,000 crores is what we remember the last number. I'm not giving you the exact numbers, but I'm assuming it's around 75 to 80,000 crores. And our request was that since this number was taken basically to enhance connectivity to uncovered areas, the focus should remain absolutely the same. Right? When you say that you want to now use this money for some other items or some other usages, I'm sure government has the sovereign right to decide what is the right for them. But I'm saying the purpose and the intent and the spirit should remain to really enhance the coverage, arising out of that situation. So that is one part. Secondly, today technology allows you to use the coverage in a very different way. So there can be terrestrial coverage, but there can also be satellite coverage today, right? For a backhaul purpose, suppose you are not able to reach somewhere, you can also use satellite to be able to reach those areas. So why not utilize that fund to get coverage even through satellites? Right? So be open to alternate technology usage for usage of the Digital Bharat Nidhi. I think the third important element is basically is to look at even the existing projects where there has been a lack of getting the payments on time for the investments made by the operator and what has been already been rolled out. At least that payments should happen on time so that there is a discipline, of mechanism of you invest and you get a return and you invest and you get a return. I think those are the three specific aspects which I would like to highlight.
Sure. No, thank you. Mr. Srivastava, maybe I'll just shift, the question now. There's been a lot of focus on boosting domestic manufacturing. And I think given the global landscape today and the tariff structure, etc., what in your view can India do to boost domestic manufacturing in the telecom sector?
I think we as a country, we have been taking advantage of adversity. And this is the time we should take advantage. I mean, change this into an opportunity. The budget had this national manufacturing mission. Recently, Prime Minister also spoke about it. So, I think focus should go on manufacturing. The PLI schemes, they are already yielding very good result. One issue that, reminds me, 2013 or 2012, I don't remember correctly, there was a recommendation from TRAI that in order to encourage the use of domestically manufactured equipment by service providers, they should be incentivized. And then certain percentages were indicated as, rebate in the AGR. In 2018, I was then in TRAI and we recommended that some such things should be followed. The TSP should be encouraged by the way of rebate in the AGR. And it was said that if government is agreeable, then the authority will give a recommendation on what should be the percentage of rebate and so on. So I think this is one aspect on which government should look, so that domestically we may manufacture, but if we are not ourselves using, the foreigners will not buy their cost. This is very clear. Unless you use it, your own domestically manufactured equipment in India, it will not be bought outside. So, and for that, we have to encourage the service providers. And this is one issue that should be addressed certainly. Apart from that, the manufacturing of component, a lot of focus should be there. Only then the domestic manufacturing will take off.
Well, thank you. And Manoj, maybe I could sort of, ask you on, what are the sort of leading global practices that you have seen, and I think you've been exposed to quite a few, that India can adopt, in terms of sort of really expanding in the investments of digital infrastructure and the potential monetization as well?
Yeah, a couple of things I can think of straight away. One is, I don't know how many of you have traveled on a long distance train in Britain, United Kingdom, because they privatized the railways back when Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister. So what you would see there is, unlike the Indian Railways, which owns the entire network as well as runs the trains, in Britain, there are different networks called Great Western Railway, Northern Railway, Vasco Railway, Southeastern, Avanti Western, all that. There are so many private railways, trains. All of them are private, except the network, the rail network that is owned by the government, British government. It's called the network rail. And if you can adopt it in India, I don't know how much we can adopt in India, because there is a lot of permutations and combinations which they have done. It is not just the regulator who is involved, regulator is involved, the operators like SFR, the French operator name of SFR, Orange, then French Ministry of Communications is involved, local governments are also involved to certify the coverage. So I don't know how far it will be successful in India, but we are trying to make an attempt. Thank you.
Very interesting. I know we have only a couple of minutes left, so maybe one last question to you all. Rahul, if I could perhaps start with you on this one. I think it's established that for digital infrastructure to scale up, there's going to be a significant amount of collaboration that is needed from telcos, from technology providers, as well as the government. What changes would you suggest that can improve this collaboration between these different entities to create sustainable digital infrastructure?
I think, honestly, that is exactly what Bhardwaj sir is trying to do as heading the stakeholder engagement program at the Department of Telecom. And there are various groups and committees which has been formulated, and we need to go into more details. But that is really an encouraging practice. If you can get all the stakeholders together, you can highlight what are the issues and what needs to be done. I think that is really the right framework to address this issue. And I think the government is already seized of it. They are already working on that sort of matter.
Sure. Anilji, from your perspective, what's happening and what else can be done?
So, basically, thanks Rahul for finally supporting our initiative, some of our initiatives. See, as a department and as a government, currently DOT, and I am saying this with full conviction, we are in a wonderful, happy phase where our minister is willing to sit across the table, tell CEOs, tell CTOs, tell the industry leaders that please tell me what do you want from me and I will deliver it to you. Provided it is for the industry, not for an individual company. That's what the message we have been giving. And not only we listen to their demand, we are putting a tick on every demand. And we don't leave unless the people from the industry accept, yes, it has been settled to our satisfaction. And I feel, personally, because I am lucky to pilot that initiative or coordinate that initiative, this is the way to go, that industry, government and other stakeholders work together. So we have academicians there, we have economists there who come and advise us on the demand of industry, who tell us that this is the way to go, and that is where we are taking this whole infrastructure department for future, making it future ready. Because when we say that we have so many unconnected, not only that unconnected, there is a huge potential. If India is in this happy phase where we are saying we will be the largest or second largest economies in 10 years to come on PPP basis, this is what my minister said today. We will make sure that infrastructure is ready to serve that largest economy. And once infrastructure is ready, I am sure financially, economically and profit-wise, the industry will reap those benefits of making that infrastructure available to the masses. I think that's where I should stop. Time's up.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if Mr. Manoj or Mr. Srivastava, if you have any final comments on this. Okay, thanks for the wonderful and invigorating session. We really appreciate it. I think we understood a lot of key aspects of the industry and how some of the challenges could potentially be solved. Many thank you to all of you.